public saint, private monster, the terrifying reality of a communal narcissist. You know the type. The one who volunteers for every charity, who always smiles for the cameras, and who everyone in town absolutely adores. They are the glowing beacon of selfless generosity. But behind closed doors, a terrifying shift happens. The saint mask vanishes, leaving you trapped with a private monster. What hides beneath that perfect smile? You are about to find out. It is an incredibly isolating experience to watch everyone applaud the person who is slowly destroying your mental health. You sit in the audience, watching them accept awards and praise. People lean over and tell you how lucky you are to have them in your life. You force a polite smile and nod, silently suffocating under the weight of a dark secret that nobody else can see. The communal narcissist is perhaps the most dangerous variation of this toxic personality type. Why? Because they hide their absolute need for dominance behind the shield of untouchable goodness. They weaponize kindness. They use their philanthropy and good deeds as an invisible armor. If you dare speak out against them, you look like the villain. It is a brilliant, evil setup. You start to question your own reality. You wonder if maybe you are the problem. After all, if 100 people think this person is an absolute angel, how could your private nightmare be real? This is the agonizing cognitive dissonance that keeps so many victims silent. You are constantly fighting against a massive tide of public opinion that completely contradicts your truth. But here is what you need to understand right now: you are not crazy. That instinct telling you something is profoundly wrong. It is accurate. The coldness you feel when the front door clicks shut and the cameras are gone is entirely real. The warmth they project to the world is nothing more than a carefully constructed stage play. And you are merely a prop in their production. Unlike the grandstander who boasts about wealth or beauty, the communal narcissist boasts about their morality. They feed their endless, hollow ego by proving to the world that they are simply better, kinder, and more giving than anyone else. But genuine empathy? They have absolutely none. Their charity is just a transaction. It is a calculated purchase of public adoration. Think about the exhaustion you feel trying to explain this to a friend. You stumble over your words. Because how do you complain about someone who just spent their entire weekend building homes for the poor? How do you explain the subtle, terrifying ways they punish you in private when their public persona is flawless? The isolation is absolute. And they engineered it that way. You have been forced to live in two completely different worlds. The public world, bathed in the golden light of their supposed benevolence, and the private world, defined by cold contempt, harsh criticism, and total emotional neglect. The whiplash between these two realities is enough to break anyone down. It slowly erodes your sense of self and your trust in your own mind. Today, we are going to tear down that stage. We are going to expose the hidden mechanics of the communal narcissist. We will look at exactly how they construct this bulletproof persona and, more importantly, why they secretly despise the very people they claim to help. This is the truth that has been kept entirely in the shadows. It is time to drag it out into the daylight. So take a deep breath. Settle in. If you have ever felt invisible in the shadow of a beloved public figure, if you have ever been told that you should be grateful for a monster, this is specifically for you. You are about to finally understand the terrifying machinery behind the mask of goodness. The show is officially over. Let us pull back the curtain and see what is real. To truly understand the communal narcissist, you have to look past the good deeds and focus entirely on the core motivation. Every narcissist is driven by an empty, bottomless void where their self-worth should be. They require constant external validation to survive. While the covert narcissist plays the victim, the communal narcissist decides to play the ultimate savior. It is a genius survival strategy if you think about it. If they link their ego to morality, they become completely immune to criticism. Who would dare attack a saint? They build a fortress out of good intentions. But the philanthropy is never about the cause. It is never about the people they are helping. It is exclusively about the reflection of themselves in the public eye. Watch them closely when the cameras stop rolling. Notice how quickly the compassion evaporates. The very moment there is no audience to applaud their generosity, the energy shifts. The smile drops. The warmth turns into an icy, resentful silence. They are entirely exhausted from playing the role of the good person, and you are the one who has to deal with their severe burnout. There is a deep, hidden resentment burning inside them. They secretly despise the people they serve because having to serve them is merely a chore required to buy praise. They do not genuinely care about suffering. They simply view suffering as a convenient stage for their personal greatness. It is a dark, transactional view of humanity masquerading as boundless, pure empathy. This explains the shocking lack of empathy they show you in private. You have seen them hold the hand of a stranger and offer words of profound comfort. Yet, when you are crying, when you are genuinely in pain, they stare at you with blank, annoyed eyes. They have no emotional currency left to spend on you because there is no public glory in comforting someone in private. In their twisted logic, they believe their public acts of goodness give them a free pass to be terrible behind closed doors. They feel they have racked up enough moral points to excuse their abuse. They will actually say things like, "Look at everything I do for others. How can you be so selfish?" They use their charity as a weapon to completely invalidate your legitimate pain. This creates an environment of intense psychological chaos. You are dealing with someone who is objectively doing good things in the world, yet is systematically destroying your soul. Your brain struggles to reconcile these two opposing facts. You begin to rationalize their cruelty. You tell yourself that they are just stressed from carrying the weight of the world on their back. But the cruelty is not a byproduct of stress. The cruelty is the point. The private abuse is the exhaust pipe for their toxic internal engine. They have to suppress their natural arrogance and contempt in public to maintain the saintly image. By the time they get home, that pressure has to be released somewhere. And unfortunately, you happen to be the safest target available. They carefully chose you because you are loyal. You have a quiet strength and an actual capacity for genuine empathy. You are the perfect emotional sponge for their toxic runoff. They know you will keep their secret. They know you will not ruin their pristine reputation because you actually care about doing the right thing. They weaponize your absolute best traits against you. This is the terrifying reality of the private monster. They do not lose control, they are in perfect control. The contrast between the public saint and the domestic tyrant is not an accident. It is a highly managed, carefully compartmentalized existence. They know exactly what they are doing. And realizing that the cruelty is entirely intentional is the hardest pill to swallow. There always comes a specific moment when the illusion begins to fracture. It is rarely a massive explosion. Instead, it is a quiet, subtle crack in the perfect facade. Maybe it happens at a charity gala, or during a community meeting. You catch a fleeting look of utter disgust on their face when a supposedly beloved volunteer turns their back. The mask slips for just a second. You start to pay closer attention. You stop looking at their actions and start watching their eyes. You notice how their gaze constantly darts around the room, making sure important people are watching them perform their kindness. You realize that their charity has a very strict hierarchy. They only help those whose gratitude can directly elevate their precious social standing. This is the turning point of your awareness. The fog of cognitive dissonance finally starts to lift. You begin to test the waters. You might lightly question one of their motives or suggest they take a break from their relentless public service. And that is when you see the monster rear its head. The reaction is completely disproportionate to your gentle, caring suggestion. They do not just get defensive, they go on a vicious attack. They accuse you of being ungrateful, jealous, and small-minded. They unleash a torrent of character assassination disguised as profound disappointment. This is narcissistic injury in its purest form. You have dared to poke a hole in the balloon of their moral superiority, and they will absolutely destroy you for it. Suddenly, their public narrative shifts. You notice they are slowly planting seeds of doubt about your stability to their followers. They speak about you with a tone of tragic, long-suffering patience. They tell people they are worried about your mental health. It is a brilliant preemptive strike. They are isolating you further, ensuring that if you ever speak up, nobody will listen. You are now entirely awake to the game, but you have never felt more trapped. You are living inside a psychological thriller, and you are the only one who knows the killer's true identity. The community continues to worship them. The awards keep rolling in. The applause grows louder. And every single clap feels like a direct, mocking slap to your exhausted, battered spirit. But something incredible happens in this deep darkness. As the isolation peaks, a cold, hard clarity sets in. You stop trying to make sense of the nonsense. You stop waiting for the empathetic person to return, because you finally accept that the empathetic person never actually existed. The ghost you have been mourning was just a remarkably well-acted, hollow character. You stop trying to explain yourself to them. You stop arguing. You drop the rope. This is the most dangerous moment for the communal narcissist. They can handle your anger. They can handle your tears. Because tears and anger mean you are still emotionally invested in their twisted game. But your quiet, detached observation, that absolutely terrifies them to their very core. They can feel the shift in your energy. The emotional supply you used to provide, the frustration, the desperate pleading for connection, has suddenly dried up. You have become a gray rock. You are polite, unreadable, and totally unresponsive to their bait. The private monster begins to panic. Without your emotional reaction, their secret power over you starts to rapidly crumble. In their desperation to regain control, they overplay their hand. They become sloppy. The private abuse escalates, leaking out into spaces where others might catch a glimpse. The pressure of maintaining the saintly mask while losing control of their primary victim becomes entirely overwhelming. The flawless stage production is starting to fall apart at the seams. And you just watch. When a communal narcissist begins to lose their grip, the collapse is spectacularly messy. They ramp up their public performances to an absurd, almost manic degree. They take on more causes, loudly demanding even more validation. It becomes a frantic, desperate feeding frenzy for applause. But the hollow inside them has grown too large. No amount of public praise can fill it now. Because you are no longer absorbing their private toxicity, that poison has to go somewhere else. They start snapping at their devoted followers. They become arrogant and demanding with the very people they are supposed to be serving. The mask is becoming too heavy to hold up for long periods. Small, terrifying flashes of the private monster begin to bleed into the public daylight. People finally start to whisper. A volunteer notices a cruel remark. A colleague catches a deeply manipulative lie. The flawless reputation sustains a tiny, microscopic scratch. For a normal person, this is no big deal. But for the communal narcissist, a single scratch on their moral armor is a catastrophic wound. Their entire identity is built on absolute, unquestioned perfection. They react to these whispers with explosive, terrifying rage. They launch vicious smear campaigns against anyone who dares to question their absolute goodness. They demand total, blind loyalty from their inner circle. They force people to choose sides. The charity or the organization they champion suddenly becomes a toxic, feud-driven battleground. The sate is starting to burn it down. You watch this collapse from a safe, detached distance. You feel a strange mix of profound validation and deep sorrow. Validation because the world is finally seeing a fraction of what you endured in the dark. Sorrow because you realize just how thoroughly broken this person truly is. They are a prisoner of their own endless delusion, forever chasing a phantom sense of self-worth. The consequences of their unmasking are brutal. People who once worshipped them feel deeply betrayed. The community recoils in shock as the truth emerges. But the narcissist will never, ever take accountability. In their mind, they are the ultimate, tragic martyr. They will rewrite history to make themselves the victim of a massive, ungrateful conspiracy. They never change. The hardest consequence for you to accept is that some people will still choose to believe the illusion. Some will fight fiercely to protect the image of the saint, simply because admitting they were conned is too painful. You have to make peace with the fact that you cannot save everyone from the performance. You can only save yourself. And that is exactly what you are going to do. Stepping away from this dynamic requires an immense amount of quiet courage. You are not just leaving a toxic person, you are leaving an entire ecosystem of enablers and flying monkeys. You are walking away from the false narrative they built around you. It feels like stepping off a cliff into total darkness. But that darkness is actually the pure, uncorrupted air of your freedom. The immediate aftermath of escaping is incredibly disorienting. The quiet is deafening. You have spent years bracing for impact, constantly scanning the room for signs of the private monster. Your nervous system is completely fried from the endless, exhausting vigilance. It takes time for your body to realize that the threat is gone. The war is over, and you actually survived it. You will grieve the time you lost. You will mourn the genuine love you poured into a black hole. But as the fog completely clears, a profound realization hits you. The strength it took to survive a psychological war against a public saint is monumental. They tried to erase your reality, but your truth survived. The monster didn't break you. It only forced you to become unbreakable. Healing from a communal narcissist is a completely unique journey. It is not just about recovering from standard abuse, it is about reclaiming your very sanity. You have to actively deprogram yourself from years of being told that your pain was invalid. You must learn to trust your own instincts again. That quiet voice inside you that always knew the truth. It is your new North Star. You will start to redefine what genuine goodness actually looks like. You will realize that real empathy does not demand an audience. True kindness is quiet. It happens in the small, unseen moments. It does not require a camera, a stage, or a chorus of applause. It is consistent, and most importantly, it remains exactly the same behind closed doors. You finally learn the difference. Forgive yourself for being fooled. You are not weak, and you are not stupid. You are simply a decent human being who assumed that someone doing good things must actually be a good person. That is a beautiful flaw to have. It means your heart works exactly as it should. Do not let their profound brokenness convince you to harden your own spirit. Keep your incredible, soft warmth. The most powerful revenge against a communal narcissist is absolute, radical indifference. They want you to stay bitter. They want you to spend your life obsessed with exposing them. Because even negative attention is still attention. By simply walking away and building a beautiful, quiet life without them, you starve them of the one thing they need most. You deny them your energy. There will be days when the memories try to pull you back into the dark. You might hear their name in passing, or see them receiving yet another hollow award. When that happens, just smile to yourself. You possess the ultimate secret. You know the exhausting, pathetic reality behind the shiny plastic trophy. They are stuck in their endless performance. You get to live in reality. As you rebuild your life, surround yourself with people who value quiet authenticity over loud, flashy morality. Look for the friends who check on you when nobody else is watching. Build relationships based on mutual vulnerability, not power dynamics and public relations. You have paid the ultimate price for this incredibly rare wisdom. Now, you get to use it to protect your peace. The communal narcissist will spend the rest of their life frantically trying to fill an unfillable void. They are trapped in a tragic, terrifying loop of their own creation. The applause will never be quite loud enough. The saint mask will only grow heavier and more suffocating with time. They are condemned to a lifetime of living with the private monster. You get to leave it behind. You have stepped out of the nightmare and back into the light. The cognitive dissonance is gone. The heavy, suffocating confusion has been entirely replaced by crisp, profound clarity. You are no longer a prop in someone else's desperate stage play. You are the sole author of your own brilliant story. And this next chapter belongs entirely and exclusively to your own beautiful healing. Stand tall in your hard-earned truth. You faced one of the most sophisticated, deceptive forms of psychological manipulation in existence, and you found your way out. You saw the monster clearly, completely stripped of its holy disguise. Let your survival be a beacon for others who are still trapped in the dark. Your silent strength is more powerful than their loudest public performance. They needed the whole world to believe they were a saint, just to hide the terrifying truth of what they actually were. But you only ever needed to be real. Keep walking forward into your beautiful, quiet, authentic life. Because the truth is finally out, the exhausting curtain has permanently closed, and my friend, the private monster has absolutely no power over you anymore.